Happy New Year. Welcome back to the podcast. So today we are going to talk about the real estate markets, looking back in 2024 for the Reno-Sparks area. And then we are going to go into a topic that is important if you're a seller out there.
Right.
It's becoming a little harder, as you'll tell from the numbers, to sell your house. So we're going to talk about the top 5 incentives financially you can offer buyers to sweeten the deal to get your house closed in 2025. Once again, my name is Ken Hanks, Team Thanks Real Estate Team. The goal of this channel is very simple. We help people in Reno-Sparks help buy, sell, invest, and live in the Reno-Sparks area. So if you have questions about real estate or anything, let us know in the comments below, like our videos. But today we are joined with Elena Boland, Wholesale Mortgage. How's it going?
Good.
She's back. We didn't scare her away from 2024, so we're going to continue to do these news market updates. People like them?
Yeah.
Pretty popular, 3,000 to 4,000 views, 100 likes. So people are liking this. It's getting out there.
Yeah.
It's important information, and then check out our other videos. So let's hop in. So first we're going to talk about what went down in 2024.
Right.
Just kind of market review. Look at 2 different stats that are kind of interesting. Just kind of give you an overview of the health of our markets.
Right.
And then we'll hop into what went on in December 2024. So looking back, looking at 2024, how many closings, and keep in mind we've talked about this a lot, this is resale homes in the Reno-Sparks area,
Right.
nowhere else. Not townhomes or new home builds, this is just resale homes. How many closings, Elena, were there in 2024?
4,511 closed in the year of 2024.
What does that compare to 2023?
We had 4,364, so not a huge drop. Realistically, I think that's
It's right in there with 3%.
yeah, up to 3%.
Small.
That's yeah.
Yeah. So
Fair.
the market based on sales is about the same.
Yeah.
And with all the turbulence, low inventory, all the changes we've
Yeah.
had, it's kind of amazing that we are still around 4,500
Yeah.
closings.
It's a nice testament to the area. It shows that it's still worth transacting here, and a testament, I think, to all the professionals that are working in the area as well.
Yeah. So looking at new listings, so we looked at closed, but how many listings actually came on the market in 2025?
5,595.
So almost 5,600. And how's that compared to 2023?
Up 11% from 5,022.
So despite all the doom and gloom, higher interest rates, houses are still being sold in Reno.
Right. Yes.
It's a steady market, which is nice. I am kind of curious on how it's going to carry forward if interest rates stay at an elevated level. That's going to be interesting in 2025. One of the biggest challenges we have, higher interest rates, low inventory, a lot of the same. And then there's a change in the political atmosphere that's going to change. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on. That's why you need to like this channel and tune in every month. So now we're talking about the real estate market for resale houses in the Reno-Sparks area. All started off the median home price, and we have people who are looking under this, but amazingly enough, with high interest rates and at this time of year, the median home price has crept up to over 600,000 to 604,500, so 604,500. Just keep in mind the record is around 620.
I was just going to ask you, I remember 620 something, I believe.
It's like 619, but
Okay.
so we're 3% away from an all-time high, which is incredible.
Right.
Especially with high interest rates. That's up 7% year over year and up 3.6% month over month. So in 2024, the market grew about 7%,
Right.
which is
sense.
nice. I'd like to see it around 5%, but so just keep that in mind if you're out there buying a house. There's a lot of people on the fence. Every year that goes by, unless we have some kind of catastrophic event, you're gonna end up paying 3 to 5 to 7% more every year. So
the national average over the last 30 years is a 6% increase in equity. So that's exactly to the point for buyers.
So it's kind of like getting in the stock market and just getting in. I mean, we're not suggesting that you should get in and be overpriced, but
Right.
there's something to be said for getting into the market, into something that you can afford. Start paying down your mortgage. You get a little appreciation, and then you get a little a little interest or a principal pay down. So,
Right.
and then turn that into something bigger down the road. And that's
very
all how we've all done it.
Yeah.
So you gotta get in, start playing. So if you're on the fence, think about that. How about closed listings for December of 2024?
351 for the month, up 2% from last month, up 25% from last December.
Yeah, so 350 is not many.
Yeah.
But we're in the time of year where it's a little colder outside. We haven't seen the snow yet, but it's cold out and then the holidays. So, about, what is that, 11, 12 closings a day. So that's on average.
Still business happening.
Yeah, so that's not a bad number. And then this is the big number, and then you should watch this. This is a number that you can kind of tell the health of the market. Median days to contract. So it has gone up since November, 66%. We're up to 50 days.
Yeah.
So what this means, we've said this before, but you put the house on NMLS, market it, go to market. It's going to take 50 days to get an offer. So sellers are getting a little antsy, and that's why you're going to want to stick around if you're a seller. There's some incentives that you can do to
Move it along.
move it along, because buyers are hurting just because of why.
The interest rates.
Yeah.
They want an affordable house payment, so you can help them as a seller.
Yeah. So to keep that in mind is that buyers are being pinched, and on two ends: higher interest rates, high prices.
Right.
So sellers are going to have to change their tune a little bit. So 50 days, almost 2 months.
Yeah.
Which we haven't heard of this in quite a while.
Right.
It's
I
up
can't remember the last time it was
year over year about 25%. So no longer 30. We saw it crept in 30, 40. Now we're at 50.
Yeah.
So what about median sold price per square foot?
Price per square foot, $324. Nice round number to just run a calculation if you're out, or if you want something and don't have time to contact your agent.
Yep. So throw that at, obviously you can't put that towards higher end homes.
Right.
But, the median out there, half or below, that's a good number to kind of put up there. So if it's something way off, then you know something's up.
Yep.
New listings are very low, 229 for the month of December. So obviously it's down almost 36% month over month, but it's up, believe it or not, year over year. So from last 2023 in December, we're up 10%. So we're at 200 last year. So a little better. Active inventory, what do we got going on there?
791 active listings. Down 20% from last month, but that's to be expected. And then up 23% from last year.
Yeah, so
It's a wash.
it's a wash, but below 800. And I suspect that in January that will go down.
Right.
But it is getting a little busier. I'm getting a lot of, over the holidays, I got quite a few showings
Yes.
on some of our listings. So I think people, once the new year gets around, people start moving around and you get some calls.
Yes, back to their goals is where everybody's at.
Yeah, take a month or two off and then it's go time. So month supply of inventory, you simply take the active inventory divided by the closed sales. We're approaching a little higher. It's been under 2 for years and years, but now we're at 2.3. So it just means that in 2.3 months, if we didn't have any more new listings come on the market, and based on our sales, closed sales, we'd run out of inventory.
Yep.
No one will buy a house. So if you have any questions about the market, reach out, send us a direct message. We're getting a lot of comments, questions, or if you just want a free consultation on your mortgage, or you have a house you want to sell or buy, we'd love to talk to you. Give us a call. So, all right. So we are moving into a new topic. Elena cringed when I didn't give her the list, because this is the we can get rid of this here.
Throw 'em.
She always, we always like to make it a little more interesting when she doesn't know the questions. So truthfully, she's not seen these. So what's going on in the market. As you can see by the numbers, if you're a seller out there, your house is going to take about 50 days to get an offer. So the question we get from sellers and buyers, I guess this could be for buyers too,
Right.
or what are incentives are out there that are allowable based on the old, the commission lawsuit settlement. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to bring these in, and then she's going to tell us limits, because a lot of people don't know is that lenders have limits on a lot of this
Right.
stuff. So you can't just go say, yep, I'm going to go get all my closing costs paid by the seller. It may not be feasible.
Right.
So the number one, and this is from the National Realtor Association. This is, here are the top 5 incentives a seller can offer a buyer in 2025. Number 1, you ready?
Yeah.
Closing cost assistance. And I have a little commentary here. It says, sellers can offer to cover part or all closing costs, making homeownership more accessible by reducing upfront expenses or for buyers. So give me some examples of assistance with closing costs. What can they can't do? Is there different, based on the, let's just do conventional right now.
Sure.
Is that what we're seeing most of the mortgages, conventional?
Yes. Most are, because most people that can afford to purchase right now are selling a home also. They've got some equity. They're moving up, moving down, relocating. But I'm going to agree with NAR that is the number one way to help sell your home as an incentive to a buyer. If you help them pay the closing costs, that's less out-of-pocket money that they've got to come in with to close out, and it helps them just with little things that feel scary whenever you're going to purchase a home. Closing costs can average between 2 to 2.25% of the sales price, depending on how the deal is negotiated. That's a big number. So if you're buying a $500,000 house, that's $10,000. So if the seller agrees to pay that for you,
Or some of it.
that reduces your cash to close, feels a little less scary. And it's nice too, because then when you come into the home, you have a little extra money for things that you might not know you need. Simple things, window coverings, a couch doesn't fit, etc. It really helps people settle in.
What are the limits?
The limits for closing cost
For
credits
conventional?
for conventional, if you put 20% down, you can get up to 6% credit.
Wow.
So they usually don't cost that much, but it can if you get into an HOA, you do a lot of inspections, or if you opt to buy your rate down. So that's another topic, but 6% is the cap. So you can't ask a seller to pay a 10% credit towards your closing costs, because your lender will not allow that.
So if you put 5% down, is it less?
It is less.
What, is it proportional?
Yes. So, well, there's not like a true calculation for it, but if you put 5% down or less, then you're limited to 2% that you can ask the seller to
Okay.
pay.
What's
towards
10%?
your
Is it 10%, 3%? 10% down is, or
5.
5. Okay.
Mhm.
So, got to bring at least 5. Oh, so if it's less than 5%, they get limited to.
Correct.
So
yes.
on a $500,000 house,
Mhm.
you're limited to 10,000.
Yeah, which is fair. You're just not going to have any extra for buy downs, etc., but it'll get most of your closing costs paid for, which is nice.
Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, it says buyer concessions. Sellers can provide concessions for various transaction costs, which we talked about, but that may include property repairs or other expenses related to the home.
I love and hate this one because it's a gray area in regards to what you might be receiving those concessions for that you can disclose to your lender, but you still have to be open and honest with. So sometimes you'll see a listing where the seller is offering $20,000 for a roof credit. Where does that credit come from, right? You can't receive a check from a seller at closing that everyone can see. Now, there are some, negotiations that can happen outside of escrow, and that's okay. That's between the buyer and the seller.
Right.
Now, as far as receiving a $20,000 credit, that could exceed the limit that you're allowed to receive.
Well, if we go back to our $500,000 house,
Right.
and you're only putting 5% down,
Mm-hmm.
not happening.
Right. You've got a problem because you're exceeding the limit. So sometimes you have to renegotiate things and maybe look at reducing the price $5,000 and then receiving a $15,000 credit. that's where you talk to your professionals and make sure that those things that are listed are not exceeding the limits.
So be careful of that.
Yes.
But you can offer, I see it sometimes for flooring or whatever, but
Right.
just make sure that you know the limits, because that's, and especially if you're doing like a VA or FHA, we'll talk about that later, but we're just doing conventional today.
Yep.
Because that's basically what we'll work with. So, all right, so that's number 2. Number 3, this is a big one. You know what it is?
I'm gonna guess it's a rate reduction.
Nope.
No? Price reduction.
Buyer's agent commission. All right, so this is what happened. We all know there's a video we'll put above about what happened in the lawsuit. Sellers can't offer. It's not on the NMLS commission for agents. It's still available, but the agent has to ask. But sellers are no longer obligated to compensate the buyer for their agent. But a caveat that is, well, no longer advertising the MLS, sellers can afford to pay, can still offer to pay the agent's commission, potentially making the deal more attractive to sellers. What do you think about that?
Right.
Do you see that?
Yeah, I would say for our local market, I have seen very, very little resistance in regards to sellers paying the buyer's agent commission.
We don't know what that is, by the way, so just keep that in mind. It's negotiable. That's what everyone wants to know. It always has been.
Very, very much so negotiable, but not much pushback on it. And I think that sellers are understanding. If it's helping get your buyer in the door and complete a transaction, let's do what needs to happen to get it done.
Okay, so you can still do that as a seller. I would say if you're a seller that's on the fence about that, you have to kind of calculate it based on the market conditions,
right,
and see if your house is selling. Because it's, if you're going to put the burden on the buyers when they're paying 7 1/4, whatever it is, make them pay for their agent, make them pay all the closing costs and all the repairs, your house may not sell. So you have to be flexible and do things to get things done.
And I used to explain it to all buyers this way when they would wonder, do I have to pay my buyer's agent that's representing me in the transaction? I would tell them, look, most sellers have been in their house 5 years or so, and if you think about it, they're gaining 6% in equity every year. That fee that they're going to pay that might equal that 1 year's gain in equity, they'll happily pay so that you can have your proper representation. I would say that that's still the sentiment so far in our market.
There are some that are closing that don't, but keep that in mind. And when the market was hot, builders were not offering buyer commissions.
Right.
So it's been around. It's always been something that all agents and lenders have had to navigate. Again, you have to sign a buyer broker agreement. No difference. So number 4, something that I haven't really seen, but it does happen. I actually had one in Arrow Creek where older mechanical equipment caused this. So home warranties. We always have to check with Elena to make sure they're legal. That's why she's here, because I'm not a lender. Offering a home warranty can provide buyers with peace of mind regarding potential repairs or system failures after purchase.
Right.
So what's your opinion on that? Do you see it?
Yeah, definitely. I would say 50% of the transactions that we're involved in, I will see a seller or an agent pay for the home warranty for a buyer. You just have to make sure as a buyer that you're asking questions, because if there's a 30-year-old air conditioning unit that might not get paid for if it goes out in 6 months, because then the home warranty company may not cover it because it failed due to age, not a mechanical issue. So it's definitely something you want to look at closely, but a huge help to any buyer, and it does help with negotiating.
Peace of mind. And as a seller, if you're selling a $500,000 house, if you're selling a $1 million house, they're about $5,000 to $1,000.
Right.
And then after the close, the buyer has to pay a percent and then a fee.
Yeah.
If they want someone to come out.
Little deductible, usually you have to pay.
So that's one way you can offer if you have some kind of older mechanical equipment, if you're a seller, and say, hey, don't worry about it, I got it covered.
Yes.
All right, now this one is, I don't know, it's a little gray, in my opinion. Number 5, property upgrades or improvements. Look at that.
That's
Seller can offer to make specific upgrades or improvements to the property as part of the sale agreement, enhancing the home's value.
oh, that is such a promise to give to somebody in a sales contract. You don't know what's truly going to increase the value of a home. Sometimes you can redo an entire kitchen and you'll get the same appraised value as your next door neighbor. So I would not necessarily recommend that.
This is a great one, though. Like I said,
Second to that, I would say any upgrade you're willing to make as a seller for a buyer, you're then looking at extending an escrow period,
yeah.
and that can blow the
Well, I
buyer's
was
rate
thinking
lock.
this is probably something like they were offering, like, here's $5,000 before. I'm guessing.
Sure.
I don't think escrow companies, title companies, realtors, brokers, or lenders, or anybody out there wants to be extending any escrow to make improvements. So I'm guessing this is more
Short term. Or
well, no, I don't think
money.
it's short term. I think it's just, hey, you want carpet, and I'm not going to replace the carpet. Here's $5,000.
Sure.
But you still run into
That runs back to our limits on
Yeah,
the
so
credits they can receive.
that's why you got to know the limits. And as a seller, it's important to know what limits a prospective buyer has, because you can, $5,000. I don't think that's gonna get any kind of flooring that you're liking.
Right.
Especially when you install the material and then the cost, the labor to install it. So
Right.
just keep that in mind. But these are all strategies that, we are at 50 days that sellers are on the market now. And sellers are getting a little antsy. Do we see interest rates coming down anytime soon? It's just, who knows?
Not immediately. There are no predictors for an immediate drop. I don't have the crystal ball. I wish I did, or I'd be rich. But
We'd be in real estate. We wouldn't be a lender. I wouldn't be a
right,
realtor.
what you have to pay attention to primarily is the jobs report. That's the only consistent
It came out
item.
today, right?
Yes.
157,000. It wasn't
Yeah.
too hot, wasn't too cold,
Right,
so it's
not
kind of.
much change, so that's why I'm thinking there's not going to be an immediate change. But again, as we have some political changes coming in hot, that could change things. So we'll see.
So, all right. Well, that's the market update. If you like our videos, like our content, please like it, share it with some friends, maybe out of the area. If you need some real estate advice, buying, selling, investing, want to know more about the community, check out our channel. What's your number if they need some advice on a mortgage?
825-1600, and I'm happy to take calls just to answer questions. It doesn't mean that I have to do your loan. Keep in mind that I like my job and I like to help.
Yep. So give her a call. It's a great opportunity to get free advice, free consultation, and we do the same. Otherwise, Happy New Year. Get out there and get those goals going, and tune back in. We're going to have some new content coming out. Thanks again. You guys take care. Thanks.